Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. Really glad you can join us here. My name is Andrew Weber. I'm the Director of Insights here, but I'm going to be kind of emceeing today, but obviously you can kind of see our two hosts here, Jason and Tivan. But what we're going to be talking about today is the top 10 reasons why consumers don't buy. And really, again, thanks everyone for hopping on the line here just so soon after the holiday season. So just to quickly go over who we are, if you're not familiar with Teikametrics or Tone, we're going to talk through that, and we'll obviously talk through the agenda. And just some housekeeping notes before we get started. If you have questions at any time, if you're having sound issues, anything like that, feel free to pop them in the questions box. Additionally, if you have questions about the content, don't feel like you have to wait till the end. You can pop those questions in, again, using that questions tab at any time. So just keep a lookout for that. Additionally, I know Jason and Tivan will be asking for your feedback at any time, during the presentation on a few items. There's a little chat functionality there. Would love to hear from you kind of as they prompt questions there as well. Additionally, we are recording this webinar, and you will get a recording of this session roughly 24 hours after the session ends, along with the slide deck, so you can kind of review at your own pace. If you want to watch through again, you'll have that all available. So without further ado, I think we can hop into it here.
Great. Well, first off, again, thanks everybody. I was going to ask if you all can hear us okay. I saw one person was asking if there's a way to call in. Yes, there is. But while we work through that and Andrew responds to you, just let us know if you guys can hear Tivan and myself. Okay, if you guys can share you can see the screen that we're sharing. Want to make sure that we're off in a good spot. But Tivan, good to see you, man. It's been a long time since I've seen you in person, but really good to have you here today.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Well, perfect. So as we discussed, top 10 reasons why consumers don't buy, we'll get into some intros here. Tivan, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell the world
Sure.
who you are?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Tivan. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Tone Messaging. And I don't know, we can get into a little bit about what we do, but in short, we are the world's only two-way SMS marketing platform for e-commerce brands.
Great, great. And I'm Jason Magee, Senior Director of Sales and Business Development at Teikametrics. Similar to Tivan, been in the industry for quite a while. We've seen a lot of changes, and we like to think that we stay on the cutting or bleeding edge of what's changing. So really excited. This is a really fun one. What I will say for all the attendees is we don't want you to sit here and listen. We're going to need some audience participation here, aren't we, Tivan? So
yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Weber, would you like to go into who we are at Teikametrics?
Sure. So just to quickly overview, if you're not familiar with Teikametrics, we, again, as it says here, help top brands win on Amazon and Walmart. And specifically, we handle via our SaaS platform, along with expert analysts, if you want some additional help, the ability to get your ads and optimize your ads, your bidding, where those, how those ads show up across both of these marketplaces, both Amazon and Walmart. You see some of the brands we work with here. And again, we've grown a lot over the past several years. We now optimize over $6 billion worth of transactions across these largest brands on Amazon and Walmart. So we'll be talking a little bit about both those marketplaces as we go through. And Tivan, if you want to kind of talk a little bit about Tone.
For sure. So everyone with a smartphone probably got more text messages from brands over this holiday season than ever before. And that's because SMS marketing for e-commerce businesses is blowing up. It is a very awesome revenue channel, as many brands are finding. But what many of you probably realized is in many ways, it feels like spam in a new channel, maybe a bad email that you've gotten and it just kind of shows up in a channel that you can't ignore. Our philosophy is SMS is inherently a personal and two-way channel. So we've built a platform that actually understands that. And not only do we enable brands to send personal SMS messages to their customers, but we have AI automation and what we call superhuman agents in the background that respond within minutes and actually create this long-term relationship with customers. currently serving a few thousand brands right now across Shopify, BigCommerce, and Magento.
Awesome. And there is a good question in here about who this is, the audience, what this content is for and who it's for. One thing I will say is Tivan and I, and thanks a lot to Andrew and some of the other folks like Jake behind the scenes at Tone, this is for anybody who is selling in e-commerce, whether you are selling on your own direct-to-consumer website, whether you're selling only on marketplaces, or ideally both. Like we're gonna make sure that you guys get a really good, clear picture about all the different nuances. And again, it's gonna be really fun, and we certainly want questions. So as we go through this, let's absolutely make sure we address those. So, Andrew, do you want me to take the agenda, or did you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I can go through and talk through just generally. And again, for folks that joined in late, we are recording this presentation. So if you miss anything or want to review it, you'll be getting a copy of this roughly 24 hours from now. But just to get into what we're going to be going through, right? We're going to be going through data, some great data from Tone on kind of top reasons they've seen for consumers saying why they're not buying, right? What are they seeing most often? And specifically, kind of to the question that was asked from Rolando there, we're going to talk about the implications for this across two areas, right? How does this manifest itself in D2C, right? When you're selling on Shopify, BigCommerce, your own website, but also what are the implications for marketplace selling? When you're talking Amazon, Walmart, et cetera, how can you take these challenges and then actually turn them into a positive, right? Change what you're doing on these marketplaces to actually improve your standing vis-a-vis your competitors. And we're also going to be supplementing these with examples so you can kind of see how the rubber meets the road there. And again, as you mentioned, we're gonna have Q&A at the very end. But if at any time during the presentation you again you have a question, feel free to again pop it in the question box, and we'll either get to it as we go or again at the very end.
Absolutely,
and take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, obviously, we're going to do sort of two things here. We're going to talk about a retrospective of Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But also, like that's obviously in the past. What can you do with that not only going forward in the new year, but also we have a lot of time left. So that leads us to something that I think is really, really important. So what we've actually, and again, we want to make sure we focus on data and bringing you guys some hard-hitting examples. This is our data across our thousands of clients and billions of dollars worth of GMV about what actually happens to conversion rates during Q4. So you can obviously see a big spike in Black Friday and Cyber Monday in conversion rates, but that's certainly not time to close up shop. You can see that conversion rates steadily climb all the way through Christmas and up until the shut off, the shipping cutoff. But that as well, I mean, obviously you have to think, if you're selling products that aren't necessarily giftable, you're already starting to sell fitness equipment or something like that. You're about to start your Q4, come into the new year, new me. So point here is, yes, there'll be some things that you can learn and apply going into next year, but there's some things you can action now and really, really help have that make a difference.
Yeah, Jason, if I can just echo that, some of the best converting campaigns, outbound SMS campaigns that we see are actually between now and the shipping cutoff around the 13th or 14th of December, just reminding customers that they've got a limited amount of time to purchase.
Well, Tivan, this is a year unlike any other because there's a lot of challenges with logistics and shipping. People are asking these questions and they're sort of having the oh crap moment. I still need to order this. Can I get it in time, etc. Not to give away too much of what we're going to cover, but absolutely. This, folks, is where the fun begins. So we said 10. We actually wanted to boil it down into 5, and within that, take a D2C and a marketplace approach. So you're going to hit the 10 that we promised. But this is where we ask for audience participation. So thanks to Tivan and his data, he's pulled in what are the top 5 main reasons people do not convert and buy your product. So we want you all to take a guess before we reveal the answers. What do you think the number 5 reason is people did not convert and typically don't convert when they're actually on a display page, whether it's a marketplace, whether it's your website? Tivan, anything to add there before we start seeing some examples?
As you guys are starting to guess this Family Feud style, I'll give a little context on where the data came from. So over the past year, we've been texting back and forth with millions of end customers for our brands. And all of this data comes from specifically conversations that we have with people who have just abandoned an order. They've gotten very, very close to checking out. They've at some point opted in to receive text messages from the brand, and then they vanished. And then our automation has reached out and started a conversation with the customer and been able to pull out the exact reason that they abandoned. So that's the context for what you're guessing on number 5 here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see some good responses already rolling in, which is awesome to see. So we'll give everybody. We have shipping lead time, price point, shipping rates, free shipping, not FBA, all very good reasons. Tivan, should we just let the world know what number 5 is?
Let's do it. Drum roll.
Drum roll. It is shipping takes too long. So a lot of people were really kind of spot on. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. But Tivan, over to you.
I'd be curious to hear at the end of this how people knew that, like what data they were pulling from, or if it was just anecdotal. Yeah, so this is about somewhere between 6 and 7% of all of the questions that we see. And I'll give a quick example. This is from a brand that we work with called Echelon Fit. They're an in-home fitness provider, kind of like Peloton. And so the first message that we sent to this customer a couple of days ago was, hey, this is Sarah from Echelon Fit. I see you're looking at our gel seat cover. Great choice. Any questions I can answer for you? Now, when the customer responds, they let us know that they're curious about the shipping timeline. And then we jump in and give them the specific timeline for this time of year in this product. Now, the way that we actually handle this kind of issue and what we suggest to our brands and what we see brands doing to alleviate this outside of, if you're not using tone, 3 things. First one is making sure that above the funnel, so that you don't have to necessarily get to this point where you're talking to the customer about it, make sure that product pages, checkout, and FAQs have the most up-to-date shipping estimates, not just for where you are in the country, but for specific products if it differs, and specific time of year, as we know this changes. Number 2, one of the things that we did a long time ago for the bicycle business that sort of gave rise to tone was adopting a multi-warehouse strategy to make sure that as shipping timelines get more competitive between Amazon, Walmart, Target, Best Buy, and the like, making sure that you can get customers' product within a timeline of just a couple days or several days. So back with our bicycle business, we had warehouses in Connecticut, Chicago, and then a West Coast warehouse. And I know a lot of our brands have just started, as they're shipping internationally, to make sure that they've got warehouses in the Netherlands and the UK to limit those international timelines as well.
One thing I'll add here as well, like this applies not only to your direct-to-consumer site and how quickly you can get products based on where they are, but a lot of folks who are selling on marketplaces like Amazon and Walmart, they've actually limited the amount of inventory you can ship. So if you know you're running low on stock and you need to re-up, do you have a warehouse that can physically get products there to keep you in stock on those channels as well? And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But the number 3.
And then finally, there's actually quite a bit of variation in shipping times depending on who you're using as a shipping provider, shipping partner, or even what app you have integrated into your e-commerce software. So making sure that you've got an app that is helping you optimize, or a partner that's helping you optimize, depending on type of product, product weight, and where it's shipping to. One of the partners that we work with pretty regularly, specifically for international, is EasyShip. They make it really, really easy for you to build international shipping business without having to handle any of the logistics yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things, again, in the spirit of providing data, so how does shipping time affect conversions, especially on marketplaces? We ran a webinar with Walmart Marketplace, and I thought this was incredibly telling. So what this is at the bottom here, you have the actual estimated time, like the delivery promise, how many days it will take. And what you see in the x-axis in the graph here is what the actual conversion rate is. So if you're at 5 days, consider that sort of parity, not necessarily the Amazon, but Walmart or D2C sites. but every day you can, in advance, you can promise more shipping. See what happens to your conversion rate. So we know Amazon Prime has really set the gold standard of 2-day shipping times. So if you're on D2C site or you're on Walmart, as an example, this is particularly for Walmart, but if you have a 2-day shipping tag, you can increase your conversion rate on average of 41.2%, just hitting that 2-day shipping and having that tag. The same applies, Tivan, as you know, to your direct-to-consumer site, regardless if it's like, no matter where you're buying from online, shipping times are very important. So, Tivan, you can take this one.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah.
All right, folks, what do we think it is? We've already picked off the shipping time one. So we'll give you a second to submit your suggestions here before we reveal what the survey says.
Yeah, so
What do we think
start flooding your question. Yeah, start flooding your questions in here. Your guesses, I guess I should say. Fernando, glad you love Easy Ship. I know a lot of us do as well. Yeah, let's see what other. Feel free to type in some more answers. I see a couple coming in. Good to see some more here as well. Some of them may be duplicated if it wasn't your first guess. So free shipping, I see, is another example. A lot of good questions.
Hashtag price.
Yep. And again, we're going to leave quite a bit of time for Q&A. We're going to make sure that we have some time for you all as well. But sorry, Tivan, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, and we'll also try and surface these questions, guys, that you're asking as best we can. But if you want to save as many of the questions as possible to the end, it'll be easier for us to look through them.
Yeah.
So we've got final sale, returns, out of stock, and price. Give us a drum roll here. Out of stock. Who said that? Nikki.
Yeah, give Nikki a raise.
You're a savant. I would not have guessed that. That's great. Yeah, so the item I want is out of stock. So here's a perfect example from a couple days ago. Brand that we work with called Third Love. They sell the best fitting bras online. So a customer asked, will y'all have a restock of the Minimizer bra anytime soon? I just got it in from Black Friday shopping and it's perfect. Great to hear. We jump in and for this particular automation, we will let them know that we don't know the exact date. Sometimes we'll know the exact date, sometimes we won't. In this case, if we don't know the exact date, we're going to encourage them to frequently check the website and social media. One caveat here is the beauty of two-way text messaging is that we actually now have these folks on a marketing list. So they're actually going to probably know through SMS when the product comes back in stock. And you can set automations to make sure that that's so as well. So it's customers happy.
The thing I like about your approach, and when we were trying to build this webinar, we talked about this as an example, like not to throw world market under the bus, but I get this ridiculous, like, hey, 30% off, and it's so one way, it's so just spray and pray. Like imagine somebody actually responds as a human or reaches out and says, hey, Stephanie, I know you wanted this product that's now back in stock. Like it's a personal connection, like your friend is texting you.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Frankly, this answer that we gave keeps the customer happy because we've got a real human telling them like, we're here for you and it will come back in stock and here's how to stay on top of it. But our vision for the near future and what some of our brands are doing is much more specific to that product and much more temporally based on like, look, it's going to be in a couple weeks. Would you like me to text you when it actually comes in stock? And then of course they get a text message, right? That's really what the future holds here. Things that we suggest testing to limit this as a problem. Number one, set up out of stock alerts. And you can actually, there's a bunch of apps that you can find that will enable you to put an out of stock alert on any product that goes out of stock on your site. Most of them are email driven, but we have a couple integrations automations that enable you to do it with text message. There are other text message providers that can do it as well. But this will enable you to automatically alert people the moment that things re-up in your store. And you can imagine what kind of conversion rate you get on someone who says, I was ready to buy, I just needed this product, right? It's very, very high conversion rate. Number two, sending frequent back in stock updates. I don't know that we've seen of the thousands of businesses we work with. I wouldn't say that we have any business that is like really on top of this as like a core marketing principle. But I think that just knowing the conversion rates on like a product that is out of stock that comes back in stock, it's something that you should really focus on for 2021. Making sure that you are totally on top of back in stock updates, because it's almost a guaranteed sale every time you send out one of these updates.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the things that you can do conversationally, either with our platform or any of your customer service channels, is making sure that you understand the product ecosystem enough, or your agents understand the product ecosystem enough to know that when one product is out of stock, the 3 products that you should offer in its stead until you come back in stock. There's a pretty high conversion rate there, particularly for a product like bras, which is in some ways you can sort of change out, right? Like you don't necessarily need to get one bra. There are a couple different ones you can get.
Yeah, and Jerry had a good question, which is, would this sort of thing only like, would this not apply in regards to brand loyalty? Like, what if you're not a known brand? I mean, Tivan, my approach in this is, I don't want to cover like foreshadow a slide I'm going to cover, but one thing is important is, how do people buy products? I either look at a brand name that I know I want to buy, or I look at a generic name, like I just need a bra that's of this size. I just need a cell phone case that's like this. 78% of search terms on marketplaces like Amazon and Walmart, they are generic search terms, not specifying a brand. The goal is to dip into that generic bucket and then have them fall in love with your brand. It's actually the front lines of brand loyalty. So even if they don't know your brand yet, it's really important that you actually want them to actually understand that, like, this is a legit brand. This isn't just a product. This is a team, a family that's behind this as well. Tivan, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the proliferation of small third-party sellers on Amazon backs that point up pretty well. I don't know the brand names of the last few things I bought on Amazon. I just know that they had good reviews and I got it quickly. The other thing I'll mention is that of the thousands of businesses we work with, there's a handful of them that are household names, but the businesses that are doing well with us are doing well because they're following up well with customers, and they're letting the customers know when products are in stock, and they're helping move customers down the funnel. Yeah.
The other thing too is I remember Bezos put out his shareholder doc. It was like, our third-party sellers are kicking our butt in terms of third-party versus first-party sales. The beauty about e-commerce is you don't need to have a massive team. You need to have really good systems that allow you to sort of punch above your weight class, to act like you're a 300-person service team when it may be one person or a platform that you're using. It's the great equalizer, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So being out of stock, I mean, we know this, but here's just this is personal for me, because I was trying to buy a new pair of running shoes. And because it was out of stock on Amazon, I ended up going to the website and purchasing a pair of Asics. But there's nothing worse than seeing a shoe that you like, a color that you like, and then your size not being there. Like, this is just the death of what it is that you do. Like obviously, some folks like the idea of an air of scarcity, right? But there's nothing worse than just being out of stock when somebody wants to buy it. So you better darn well be ready to provide an alternative. Like, oh, here are the different other shoes we have in that size, maybe a different color. So just this highlights this as well.
And this particularly applies to a more commodity good that you could find somewhere else.
Yep. And just to add on to that with some data, this is Andrew. Out of stock is really incredibly important when it comes to marketplaces, or impactful, because this has a really meaningful impact on your organic ranking. There's some stats going around where being out of stock for just a matter of hours can impact your organic ranking for over a month. So this goes just discoverability, that your ability to stay in stock is just really important, just for you to even be found later on.
Yep, absolutely. And I, again, love the questions. Just keep them rolling, and we'll try and either touch on them when we're going through, and also we have a Q&A session at the end. That said, number 3, What is the number 3 reason people do not buy and purchase? So let's have some of your guesses roll in here before we give the drum roll. We'll just give it, maybe 30 seconds or so. The audience is pretty good so far, man. We're definitely 2 for 2 on people. And again, like
better guesses than I would have made.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I get is it rocket science? Yes, no, maybe. But at the end of the day, how you handle it is what matters most. So, yep, shipped from overseas. So how long it takes to get there absolutely is a good example of that. Price. I love it. I love the hashtag.
I'll stick with price.
Man. I love it. And until we show price, you're just going to keep throwing it in there.
Return policy.
That's actually a good one, actually. So, all right, let's drum roll it.
Survey says
shipping is too expensive.
All right, so let's jump into the example here. This is a company called Nomad Goods. They sell all manner of accessories, iPad accessories, a lot of Apple accessories. Awesome brand to work with. So we've got a customer that texts in saying, good marketing. This is in response to a text message they received from the brand. And then they have a question. And they say, I abandoned the purchase when I saw you were shipping FedEx to to Canada, which means I'll end up with brokerage charges. And that doesn't make sense for a purchase like this one. So we let the customer know that we're charging a minimum shipping cost as much as possible, and we offer them a discount to help with the cost. Now, ways in which we would solve this, or we suggest that brands solve this, threefold. Number one, and it's really, really hard for customers to make a decision to buy something, only to discover that there's a second decision that they have to make related to shipping cost. If you're going to buy $100 thing,
that's a good point.
And you say, this is great, it's worth $100 to me, that's the value, and then all of a sudden you add $20 or something, it's a big deal, and that's actually a main cause of abandonment. So what we recommend to all of our sellers is, if you can roll the total cost into the price, you're actually minimizing the number of decision points that customers have. Not always possible for products, especially if they're heavy products that vary quite a bit, where the shipping cost varies quite a bit on distance. But it's always something to test with as many products as you can. Number two, if you can't roll all shipping costs into the price, then the next best thing is to create free shipping thresholds for a certain amount of spend. Turning this shipping problem into an upsell opportunity is something that we advise clients on quite a bit. And then finally, there's a bunch of shipping apps that I would recommend testing out, and inventory management apps that will limit this problem for you. One of our partners, Skubana, does a very good job of minimizing your shipping costs by actually finding you the best rate in real time for any given order. So definitely check them out. And then once again, EasyShip also does this, particularly on the international side. They do a similar thing of helping you find the lowest rate and keeping the logistics sound.
Yeah, and Tivan, one of the things that I think is also important is minimizing, like you said, minimizing the amount of decisions they have to make. It's also when, in the point of purchase on the buyer journey, do you either have them make a decision or remove the need to even think about it? So, we'll talk about this on marketplaces, but being able to see directly on your site, hey, is this a Prime product? Does this already have free shipping? What is the shipping time? I mean, as an example here, I'm going to give you one example on Walmart. So with Walmart has a number of different ways that they can ship, both for first-party sellers and the marketplace. But the gold standard is their 2-day delivery. Their 2-day delivery. You have Walmart fulfillment service you can use. You have partners like Deliver, which have the 2-day shipping not only guarantee, but they also have the tag. Walmart also, for products that don't have the 2-day delivery, they do have the $35 minimum. If your order value increases beyond 35, it's free shipping. But they make it very evident and clear before you even add it to your cart. So it mitigates the decision that you have to make. The one that we all know very well is Amazon Prime. So you see that prime blue? I mean, there's so many folks who I would never purchase a product unless I'm desperate for something in particular. I would probably not buy a product at all on Amazon if it doesn't have a prime tag. So whether you're on your own website, and like if you use the Litter for your own site, obviously you can see 2-day there. If you're using a marketplace, it's very important that you actually have this be very clear, both in terms of shipping time frame, but the cost associated with it as well. Because it's free with the Prime membership, and it's free if you have the free 2-day delivery. So getting close to the end here before we really open it up to Q&A. Chuck, you cracked me up, man. Oh man, wrong logo. But let's see some. I mean, there are so many good ones in here, like bad, insufficient photo and description. Listing doesn't give enough info to answer the questions. Product not discounted. Customer service as well. Mobile responsive site.
Reviews.
Reviews. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor. Yeah. That's why it's really tough to keep it to a very small list. So we're trying to give you to
yeah. We should talk a little bit about that at the end. I'm sure there'll be a conversation around that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, I like this.
So
I like this one. Chuck says he loves us. Thank you, Chuck.
Chuck,
is that a formal submission?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I love it, Chuck. You're the man. Not giving up on price. Gosh, yeah, I love it. Discounted coupons. All right, let's drum roll it.
Survey says
site errors. Where did this one come from? So this is a loaded one, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's tons in here. We could talk about it for days, but we'll start high level, and then we should jump in, I think, more specifically when customers have questions. This is for an apparel brand that we work with, an SMB called Salty Crew, and they make all manner of cool sort of outdoor fishing gear, fishing apparel. So customer comes in a couple of days ago and says, my payment was declined, but it was still taken out as pending. I don't know, for those of you who have direct sites, if you've seen this before, but they get a notification saying that it didn't go through, but then if they check their bank statement, they actually see a charge. This is something that goes away after a few days when the merchant doesn't confirm it. So we've got an automated response here through our superhuman technology that says, rest assured that the pending charge should get reverted and credited back to your account. Can you try using this link to complete the order with your credit card or PayPal? We send them a link, and then customer's really happy. Couple suggestions at a high level of how to test solving a bunch of the problems you might have with your site. And this can be checkout or on-page problems as well.
Yeah, I think it's before we get to the 3, I mean, when you think about site errors, that could be on the D2C site, like my site's not even loading properly. The links don't work. The price is wrong. The price doesn't match what I checked out. On a marketplace side, this could be anything from, and we'll get the examples not categorized correctly. How many people have bought something or wanted to buy something, and then the bullets didn't make any sense. Formatting didn't. We talked about that yesterday. So many different things, and we'll go through some more examples here.
Yeah, and at a high level, just to add to that, the main reason this is so important and why it's coming up as number 2 is twofold. One, people have a increasingly less of an attention span with everything that's going on in e-commerce and just on their phone as a distraction device in general. And 2, people are increasingly mobile, and the more mobile you are, the harder it is for you to like manage these sorts of problems. It's a lot easier on a desktop. So without further ado, things to test. Number 1, this is a little bit of a shameless plug for us, but you can do this with anything. Making sure, because it's really, really hard to predict exactly what technical problem a customer is going to have at any given time, making sure that you have a support team that can actually handle issues in minutes, not hours or days. When you are able to, like most of these, if this customer didn't have us right here, they would probably just leave and not complete the order. So it's really important to just make sure you have all the channels available for customers to reach out, whether that's text message, live chat, or quick email responses. Number 2, making sure that as many ways as possible for people to check out. Top ones obviously are credit card, PayPal, with your Shopify store, Shop Pay, Apple Pay, and even sort of pay sort of financing options like Affirm will increase your conversion rate. A lot of times what we see is when a customer can't figure out with 1 or 2 credit cards, their billing address doesn't work out or something. If we just say, hey, we've got PayPal too, they're like, okay, I'll just do that because I don't have enough time to figure out this problem.
Yeah.
And then finally, when it comes to problems on the actual website, a little bit further up the funnel, making sure that you're building your site in such a way where you can make quick changes when there is an error. I can't tell you how many larger businesses we've worked with that when they have a problem, it actually takes a while for them to solve it because they got to call the dev team. Maybe it's an outsourced dev team. Maybe it takes a while to figure out the bug. So using scalable site building solutions so that you can actually make quick iterations when something's not quite working right, or when maybe 2 apps are not working together in unison, is important. Shogun is a really, really good option for that. They enable you to make landing pages and product pages really, really quickly and adjust them really, really quickly, and even A/B test.
I love Keegan's, Keegan wrote like site error, especially regarding site errors, especially in the checkout path. My motto is never make it hard for the customer to give you money. Like singing high praises, Keegan, because that is absolutely true. Cool. And like, here, let me give you some examples of like what are sort of errors. And this kind of covers a lot. But here's an example of a listing on Walmart. So a couple of things here. One, this actually should have the categorization here. It should be kids clothing or kids costume or clothing's costume, kids, boys. This isn't even categorized correctly. So this is actually a site error when you upload your products to Walmart or Amazon. On Walmart, we see this happen a lot where they're like, well, my listing is live, but it's a tree falling down in the woods because it's not even indexed properly, because how you map, whether you did it by manually or via any other integrating tool, it doesn't pull through. So you not only can you not advertise it, it's literally not even searchable. And this is another one too. Reviews came up a lot. Like if there's no social proof of an item, like nobody else has purchased it, nobody else has been like, oh, this has actually worked great for me. It's amazing the amount of trust that we as humans put into strangers just by reading people's reviews. Tivan, you and I talked about this yesterday, buying the massage gun, which is like, you hit a point, you're like, I don't know the brand. All I need to know is, like, is it right for me? And the only way I can really know whether it's right for me is what does everybody else say about this product? There you go. Yeah.
This was a totally review-driven purchase. We, my aunt and uncle, let us use their Hypervolt, the really expensive one, and it was like the best experience ever. And we went on Amazon thinking, okay, we're going to buy the Hypervolt, which is I think the premium expensive one. And then when we looked at all the reviews, we realized that this one actually was the best value from a sort of review and cost standpoint. So,
dude, yeah. It's so funny because I was telling Tivan, that's been on my Christmas list. So like, man, I have 2 kids at home, a 3-year-old Tasmanian devil son. Like, if I buy a $600 massage gun, he's going to destroy it. So like, I'm willing to fork up to $100 if I know everybody else says it's a good enough product. I'm like, all right, good, meets my expectations. But absolutely, there's so many different things. I mean, we saw enhanced brand content. But again, we'll get to a little bit about that. I did want to come back to this though. This goes back to a couple things. It's really important to understand how consumers purchase products. This goes back to the question I believe Jeff had about whether it matters if I have a brand presence or not. 78% of search terms on marketplaces, and honestly, probably very similar with Google, are driven by generic or specific search terms that do not mention brand names. So you can see the category terms are purple and the branded terms are gray. Like, people love to say, what's my share of voice? How many times is somebody searching my brand? Okay, that's great. That's like a big puff of the chest. But what matters is, are people finding you when they didn't know to look for you? because it's a very good way to cannibalize your organic presence is to advertise against your own branded terms. But if you're not going out there and winning the market share of folks who aren't specifying a brand, or even better, stealing share from a competitor by saying, look, I have a better, you're trying to buy a competitor's product, I have a better option for you. It's really, really important to consider that when making a purchase.
All right, we'll give you we'll give you 30 seconds for number one. This is the big one.
Yeah,
the last ones go ahead.
I've seen some folks dancing around this one, but this is sort of like what really is the issue, you know? Is it what they say it is, or what's really behind it, sort of thing? And kind of give it away a bit. And we have some examples here.
All right, the last one we have in the last submission is discount coupons from Rolando. Anyone else want to take a gander? Oh, I think I see them coming in.
Glacial and Price as well. Anna, not Price, I guess.
Not enough content to make a decision. All right,
dude. Absolutely.
Shall we go for it?
Jay, this is really, yeah, let's roll it, because this covers quite a bit of it here.
Survey says,
can a brother get a discount? Man, this is a loaded one. Yeah, charge it. It is discount price. Like, gosh, I'm so glad that it's finally coming back your way. You were right, but yeah, let's really dive into this one.
Yeah. So this one will be for a company, awesome company that we work with called LoomCube. They make lighting equipment for the home, and particularly for the virtual world we live in now. They have these awesome lights that illuminate you on webinars like this.
Yeah, ring lights. Yeah, absolutely. Rectangular lights, all the rage, man.
We actually gave away a bunch of them for our last webinar. People love them.
I know. I saw that. It was awesome.
So the first message that we send to customers here is, hey there, this is Sarah from LoomCube. I see you're checking out our broadcast lighting kit. Great choice. Want me to see if I can get you a discount? So this particular customer, we asked if they wanted a discount. Of course, they answer with yes, what's the best discount? And we hand make them a code for 10% off, which is the automation that we're running at this time. And of course, that makes the customer really, really happy. Caveat here for this, as you know, as you can see, this is a 5 to 10x bigger in frequency than any of the other issues.
Man.
And it's because there's a lot there, right? One of the caveats here is this is a little bit overstated in this channel for us, because we do have a bunch of plays that we're running for merchants where we're asking customers if they want a discount. So naturally, there are customers who are going to come out of the woodwork saying they want a discount when maybe they would have converted without one. But of course, you never know until you get their attention, then you start talking to them. What's interesting is we find that at least 30% of the time when a customer says, yes, I'd like a discount, it's not, yes, I'd like a discount, thank you, I'm ordering. It's, yeah, I'd love a discount. We give them the 10% off. They pull their wallet out and they're ready to buy. And then all of a sudden the logistical questions come. How long till I get this? Like, can I get this in time? You know, does it have all the features that I need? So often it's a 1-2 punch that we have to do for customers. Now let's get into the things that we're going to test. Number one is not just giving the shopper a discount. As you all know, there's discounts in every single channel. Shoppers are very wise in the age of honey and retail me not. Like, they're always looking for discount codes. So it's not just about whether or not you have a discount code. It's about whether or not that discount code surprises and delights them in the moment and motivates them enough to buy. What we try to do in our abandoned checkout flows is make sure that this discount is going to be the best discount that the customer has seen up until that moment, and it makes them feel special and they buy in that moment.
Tivan, all right, this goes into my I'm putting on my sales hat here. There's a great
I feel like you always have that hat on, but go ahead.
I know, right? There's a gentleman named Chris Voss, former FBI interrogator and not an interrogator, but I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. Negotiator, there we go.
Yeah.
And the book is called Never Split the Difference. One of the things I'd love to know if this happened, like, they talk a lot about like never split the difference, like meet directly in the middle. It's like, okay, I want it for $100. All right, let's go down to 90. But like when you, what happens if you don't use a round number like 10%? What if it happens to be like, hey, you know what? This is 11.2% off, because it actually is not just a random number. It's like, dude, we calculated the hell out of this. Like, what have you ever tested like an off the round number?
Yes, and I can tell you, we actually started our whole business around it. So,
Oh, really? I didn't
yeah,
know that. That's
so
not like a plug question. Yeah.
and it's a little bit hard to unravel from how we're doing this, like humans texting humans, but in broad strokes, what happened when we first started this business was everyone had these email abandoned checkout flows that were running automatically in the background, right? So when we started texting customers asking if they needed help or asking if they needed discounts, if we were to give them the exact same discount that they had just seen in the email, you can guess what would happen. They'd say, cool, 10% off. Well, I just got that in an email. Like, I don't need that. Thanks for nothing. So what we started doing was testing different gradations of incremental improvements. So we went to like 17 or 15% off, 20% off. And then we had this thought like, well, maybe we don't have to like go in increments of 5. Maybe we can just add like one percentage point, 2 percentage points. We found
Yeah.
that the best way to drive, at least in this personal channel where you feel like a human is giving you the discount, the best way to drive maximal revenue was actually to just do increases of 2 percentage points. So a lot of our automations would have email at 10% and then SMS at 12%, which from a bottom line perspective and profitability perspective is negligible. But it actually makes a difference in conversion for the customer because they're like, well, this is the best discount, and it actually feels handcrafted because it's some weird
That's
number.
exactly, yeah, that's exact. I love that. I love to see that apply across different areas as well. Now, I'll preface this. Glaucia, you hit the nail on the head. Like when you think about like going kind of back to the salesmanship, like price in the absence of value carries no weight, or like the value of a product. If I don't see the value, I'm gonna immediately default back to price. So the real thing is this truly, I just want the best deal? Or am I not fully sold that this is the right product for me? So that's the other thing too, is like, don't think price discount. It's like price, where did I, like, it's worth this or even more. Where did I go wrong in the sales process? So we'll get to that as well, but that sort of goes back to selling the unique value of the product and how you do that.
Well, you covered that bullet point better than I could have, so we can move to number 3.
They're at us just wanting to talk per usual.
All right, so number 3, for a lot of brands we see doing the best job at maximizing conversion here is they have like a good, better, best strategy, right? So you've got your entry level product, you got your mid level product, and you got your premium product, and sort of on site, it's really, really important to be showing customers the different options and showing them why the $40 product is the $40 product, why the $100 product is the $100 product, and why the $500 product is that. But also further down the funnel, what we do in text messages, when we have a brand that has those options, we make sure that when a customer doesn't want to pay the price for number 2 or the middle option, it's not just about, okay, here's a discount. If for whatever reason they don't want to pay that, it's about, oh, well, you know, why not go with the cheaper option? Does this solve your needs? So making sure that you can sort of identify how to optimize the customer's value curve at any moment.
Another thing too is like, again, like, you know this world better, so I'm just throwing out ideas. But if somebody goes and they buy the deluxe version, and then you see they abandon the cart, you say, hey, I see you didn't buy the deluxe. Maybe you want this lower price one. You're not discounting, you're just surfing up another product. That can actually extrapolate or maybe give them to give you more info. Like, actually, I do want that product. I just had other concerns about it. It wasn't about the price as much as it just opens up the conversation, that feedback loop, right?
Yep. I mean, I would never offer that up front before sort of extracting what the real abandonment issue was. But definitely having that in your back pocket to make sure that you're able to offer it when the customer mentions that it's a price or value concern.
Yeah, and then that sort of leads to what I said, and Glaucia, your point was perfect, which is like, if you can't offer the best price, or you know that's the lowest you can go, like you need to make sure that consumers feel confident about your product and that the benefits are there, not just the features, but the benefits are truly there and it's valuable. So when you focus on conveying the benefits or the value, like here's an example. Like you can go to, I wish I had the other example, I should have had it up, of like Folgers coffee. The most terrible listing, one image is just Folgers, and you just know it, so it gets sales. Like here's an example of a brand not a lot of people know, but like Chimera Coffee. Like look at this. Lifestyle imagery, you can see they have graphical like infographics overlaid on lifestyle imagery. Like that makes me want to spend $21, $22 for a 12-ounce bag of coffee, because I'm like, and then you read it, right? Organic grown coffee infused with essential brain vitamins, rich organic coffee beans, cognitive enhancers. I'm like, you know what? This is double what I pay for my Folgers, but man, I want that because I wanted a cognitive enhancing coffee. Like I want to feel the benefits of that. And like another example too is, this is another good example. Like this is a Helinox chairs. What I loved is they actually turned 360-degree imagery into a video that shows the entire aspect of it, how you fold up and carry. I know if I want to buy a camping chair, I don't want to slug one over my shoulder and walk, but I'm like, man, I can literally fold that up and just like attach it to my hip. Like that's a reason you might spend $20 more and buy this item, just because it's so much better looking. Shout out to Snap 36. I know this is the work that they did. Great 360-degree imagery. Just not paid to say that, but like truly, it's just incredible stuff. So
that's a great example, Jason, of why discount isn't the whole conversation, right? Because if you put that in front of a customer, they're going to value that product differently than a static image.
And not only does it help increase conversion rates, the unsung hero is if they're able to see 360-degree imagery of a product, their likelihood of returning that product goes down on average of 20%, some of the studies that we've seen. So if I know how it looks on the back end, or if I can have it sized up against something else, that mitigates returns. So if you have a scenario where you have a lot of return, like potential high returns, like after holidays, like every e-commerce seller gets a lot of returns after holidays. How can you mitigate that and drop just drop your return rate? So increase conversions, decrease returns, it nets out to just being more revenue, more profit for a company. So this is an awesome one. Like this is obviously for marketplaces, but this definitely reigns true with DTC sites as well. Imagery on product pages is important. So this is a study that was done that was showing you, if I were to buy a product on Amazon or Walmart, what's the number of images that need to happen, that I need to have in order to be a top performer or above average performer? And what are the image counts and how that actually decreases my performance? On Amazon, the magic number is if you have at least over five images, you're in a top performer setup there. So if you have a good product, but nobody can really see, feel, or touch it through the images, and you have less than 2 images, you're going to be a poor performer there. Unless it's just a well-known product like Folgers that people just know, oh, I know what I'm getting, it's Folgers. Same thing on Walmart, like magic number is like 4 and above, and anything 3 or below, you're just going to be in the bad performer category. Tivan, it probably has to be the same thing on a D2C site as well, right?
I wish I had the data on it. Yeah, but I would imagine.
But it's just, how we make purchase decisions, right? And like this is just another example of the collection of images versus videos. Magic number is like, if you had the ability to add 6, 7, 8 images to a channel, maximize the amount of pictures or videos you can have. Like don't have 3 when you have the ability to have 8. Like fill it up with 8. Make sure they're great. They're not duplicates or something like that. But more matters. The quality. When you put quality of an image and the quantity together, or a video, that's really what matters and is the big difference. So in closing, before we wrap up with some Q&A, this is the actual data. Tivan, thank you for putting it together. That said, we'd love to open up to some Q&A. And Weber, I know we have a lot of questions. We'll see what we can get through here.
Yeah, thanks so much. I think this is a great session. I think the one that just came up, which I think is a terrific question, kind of more in the marketplace side, from Tammy here. She says, one problem we have on Amazon, someone else has listed our product first. They're the manufacturer, we are the manufacturer. But we have to deal with a kind of lengthy process of getting those images corrected. and they are often bad images, dirty boxes, the ones that are currently on the page. I know just generally one thing we talk about is brand registry. I think this is that's a big reason to get brand registered.
It is.
Brand
Yep.
priority access. I think that's the first thing definitely you should look into. And I don't know, Jason, if you have any other things to add just based on your experience here.
Brett, if you're the manufacturer, brand registry is the #1 thing you need to do to actually defend your turf. Now, Amazon and Walmart and marketplaces, in certain cases, they obviously don't, a lot of cases, they don't help with stuff like this, but there are a lot of companies out there like Brand Guard and I think Gray Falcon's another one where they actually can go and help monitor map enforcement, monitor unauthorized sellers, and can help you take action to remove them as well. So there's this whole aspect of channel cleanup. #1, if you're a manufacturer, you need to understand who, like, do I have a map policy? Do I have a policy for who is allowed to be an authorized reseller? Make sure that you have that policy and make sure you're brand registered. And I hate to use the term hunt them down, but go get those people off your listing. Like, find a good technology and or a law firm that can send cease and desist to get them off your listing, because that's infringement on your IP.
Great, and I think a great question here. This was from Chuck here, which is kind of an interesting one, I think, thinking about, especially watching the holiday season. Just any data on if, percentage off performs better or worse than dollars off. I think, that I don't have any data on it specifically, but what's really interesting, I'd say, is we did a study looking at Prime Day. This was last year, but kind of something you kind of see, for any high traffic event, which was when you see high traffic events, you're talking Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Prime Day, discounting helps when it comes to, we basically saw that out of our entire client base, 93% of products that we looked at saw increased revenues during those high traffic days, but we did see bigger increases amongst the discounters. So it's not like a must have on those, especially when you're talking high traffic events, but it definitely does help generally. But it's definitely an interesting question. I don't know if Tivan, I think especially maybe you've seen some customers do stuff like this.
Yeah, Chuck, you're welcome to reach out to your account manager too, because I think they can work specifically with you on your account. But the reason that we tend to rely more on percentage discounts than dollar discounts is because our first tens of thousands of sales, as we were testing out percentage and dollar, percentage had a much higher conversion rate for one reason and one reason only. When you throw a percentage at somebody, there's no diminishing returns on how much you get off when you spend. So we had, customers, if you give customers a $25 off and they're like, okay, well, I was thinking about spending $200, that's not really worth it to me. You end up losing that conversion. Whereas if you give them 10% off, it doesn't matter how much they spend, they're going to keep saving. So anecdotally, and with a little bit of data behind it, percentage tends to work better. But of course, we'd be willing to work with you on a case-by-case basis, depending on the promotion.
And I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions. And just a reminder for everyone on the line, this is recorded, so you'll be able to review this after the fact. There's a couple of questions coming on that. So this is interesting. This is from Glacia. Besides shipping and price, how do I keep competitive on Amazon and potentially convert people on my website? And it says, and should it matter where they are converting? I think, we could talk a little more about this. I'd say at a high level, you could say this is their pluses and minuses. Obviously, it's like if you get someone on Amazon and they convert on Amazon, right, that obviously increases your sales velocity on Amazon. That may improve your organic rank, right? But right, you could say, are you getting better margins on your own D2C site, right? There's other aspects there. I don't know, either, Tivan or Jason, kind of, thoughts around this generally in terms of maybe driving consumer loyalty.
Would you mind, can you rephrase the question into one sentence?
Oh, yeah. So I essentially, how do you stay competitive on Amazon and then get some brand loyalty so maybe they go over to your D2C site, or maybe thoughts around that generally?
I mean, we just did a webinar with this with BigCommerce I think it was last week. I think #1 thing is there's a lot that goes into this. I think the short version is understand that you need to be omnipresent. Like, people go to websites and then go to Amazon to look at the reviews and make a decision. They may go to Amazon and then go back to the website. So a couple of things to think about is anything that is customized, that is much more of an experience. Like if I'm Nike, you can customize your shoes. That's something that you can have that experience on a website versus selling shoes out of the box as they come in your site. Also think about maybe a strategy where you have new drops, new releases that come on your website, and you have some of either your older items, but like maybe they first get them on the new website. That's how you build that brand loyalty, right? You get people on your SMS list, have them purchase the latest drops, and you can start to migrate and see when you want to introduce to them. That's one strategy I think works very effectively. But Tivan, obviously love to hear your thought on this.
Yeah, and
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say one thing I'll also add in here, and then this also is from the Big Commerce webinar, is consistency. Really pay attention to that. What you don't want is someone, they go to Amazon, they see one thing, the packaging maybe looks different than what they see on their D2C, is the way you talk about the product different. Like those things should be pretty in line. You want people to have that consistent experience, as Jason mentioned, right? If they're going site to site, so they feel confident in the product. They're like, this, I know what I'm getting, and I don't feel maybe distracted by some differences I'm seeing.
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is the brands that we see doing best across Amazon and their direct channels are leveraging SMS and leveraging all their lead collection to make sure that once a customer has maybe made their first purchase or gotten interested by way of Amazon, they're capturing them as a really high value lead and marketing to them directly.
Awesome. Well, I think we're at time here, so we can end it there. Again, for everyone here, we're going to get a recording along with the slide deck so you can review it at your leisure. Really thank you, Tivan, Jason, for hopping online. Thank you, everyone here, for attending. This was definitely a fun one. I enjoyed this. This brightened up my Thursday a little bit.
I also reach out, guys. Like you have my email, you have Tivan's. Like, there's some good questions. We didn't get into get to all of them. I'm trying to think. Lou, you had some questions about Walmart fulfillment service. Shoot me an email. Happy to talk to you guys about that. But again, thank you, Tivan. Andrew, thank you for helping organize all this, and thank you everybody for who attended and participated today.
Yeah, thank you guys. This was fun, and honestly, we didn't expect you to get all these right.
Yeah, I think absolutely not.
80-90% hit rate. So good job, guys.
Great.
Cool.
Thanks again.
Guys.
Later.
Bye-bye.